Hello, beautiful people. This video is about how to measure strategy implementation. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it, right? That's very much the common thinking today, and actually I think it's useful thinking. But when it comes to strategy implementation, most teams rely on surface level metrics. And I'm going to explain what that means in the rest of the video. But they completely miss the invisible execution layer where implementation actually succeeds or fails. In this episode, we're going to explore how to measure strategy implementation, not by tracking outputs, but by assessing coordination, clarity, trust, and executional intelligence in action. So this is a series of 20 videos that I'm doing on the subject of executional intelligence, the execution layer, and how to begin to think about it, understand it, start seeing it, start designing it, and start planning for it. When we think about strategy implementation or we think about big scale project execution, most of the metrics that we have, I believe, are very misleading because we're focused on timelines, budget, and project completion. Now, timelines, budget, and project completion are good to a certain level, but what they do is they have us focus exclusively on what it is that we can currently see. Strategy implementation actually happens in the execution layer. So think about two layers. One is the observable layer that we're currently operating in. That's the tip of the iceberg. That's the 90% of the iceberg that's above the water. And then think about the bottom part of the iceberg, which is the 90% that's under the water that we don't actually get to see. I refer to that as the execution layer. That is the invisible layer of human coordination that happens that allows things to get done. So the top layer is what we see. So it's the org charts, it's the basics, it's the project plans, it's the roles and responsibilities, it's the meetings that we have, it's the Slack channel that we communicate in, it's the Teams channel we chat in, it's all the visible stuff. The documents that we keep, the libraries that we keep, it's all the visible stuff that is how we manage our execution, how we manage our projects. There's a layer underneath that that is where the real magic happens, I believe, where the real magic happens, where the real execution happens, where the real work gets done. And I refer to that as the execution layer. That is the layer of human commitment, of human coordination, of agility, of responsiveness, of coordination, of co-invention that we all do on a day-to-day basis. And we don't really have the tools and technologies to support our visibility into that at the moment. AI is going to help us with that enormously, and I'll do another whole video on that. But dashboards measure the visible layer, but not where people are aligned, where promises are clear, and where trust is intact. If we were able to manage that, we would be able to orchestrate our projects very differently. I have worked with quite a large number of companies over the last 30, 35 years, and I've worked with a lot of different teams in very different and very complex environments. And we've taught them how to build what we refer to as executional intelligence. That allows them to be able to make visible for themselves and for their teams this execution layer, this layer of where the actual execution work gets done and gets delivered. So let's talk about some of the metrics in that. The execution layer metrics, what we can measure instead of timelines, budget adherence, and project completion, which are important, but they're very, very macro level metrics, is we can measure the percent of deliverables that we have outlined or that we have understanding of that have very clear definition of done, conditions of satisfaction, whatever it is that you choose to call it. We can identify the number of commitments that actually have that and the number of commitments that don't and that people are confused about and that they don't understand. We can also look at the breakdown recovery rate. So when we talk about breakdowns, we talk about the inevitability of stuff happening that probably results in projects coming off the rails or people struggling. And so it can be at the micro level in terms of breakdown around the bigger part of the project, and the micro level in terms of a person struggling with a particular deliverable they were supposed to do and they don't understand it and they've struggled with how to deliver on it. So breakdowns happen. They're a natural part of being on the planet. They happen to us every single day. You know, your bus is late because something happened on the road. There was an accident on the road. Your tire blew out and you couldn't get there on time. And those are breakdowns. They just happen. Our ability to be able to see those as such, as breakdowns, and be able to recover from them is absolutely essential for the high functioning of our execution layer. So if we're measuring our breakdown recovery rate, not looking just at the gross numbers of this is the stuff that didn't happen, these are the breakdowns that happened, but how fast did we pull back out of them? We can also now, with the help of AI, begin to measure the team trust rate. So trust looks like it's something that is fuzzy and touchy-feely. Trust is actually the absolute core of our ability to be able to coordinate well with each other. If you understand coordination, human orchestration of each other to get work done, human coordination is really about the commitments we make to each other. We can see those commitments. We can now use AI to give us broad visibility into those commitments. And we can also begin to measure the trust that we have with each other in terms of our ability to be able to deliver with each other, our ability to be able to make clear requests to each other, our ability to make powerful offers to each other. Our AI can help us with that. It can coach us through that process if we need it to. And it can also measure the trust resilience of the whole team and of individual groups with each other. So the team trust health is a really important and valuable metric that will give us an idea of how resilient the team is and whether or not they're going to be able to handle some of the changes that are an inevitable part of projects that move fast today. There's another metric, which is the satisfaction declaration rate. So many times in teams, when they're running at high speed, they're lobbing stuff over the wall to each other, and people are getting stuff landed into their inbox without context, without understanding, without a clear customer, without a clear definition of done or definition of success. And so when they complete the work, whatever their interpretation of the work is, when they complete the work, there's nobody to declare done to. They just flag it somewhere and say, I'm checking this back into our software library, for example, and I'm saying that it's done. But I'm the one saying it's done, but I'm the one who built it. I'm the one who did the work. And the person who's going to use it, who is actually my internal customer, I'm declaring done by checking a box. I'm not having a conversation with them to see whether or not they were satisfied with the work, and that the dependency that they have on me is being delivered on effectively. AI can now support us in doing that. We can now have an understanding of our satisfaction rate at a much, much higher level than we've ever been able to. And we can also begin to have much more valuable and worthwhile and nuanced conversations with our customers to understand whether or not we are delivering real value. And when I say our customers, I mean our internal and our external customers. That is how we learn from each other. That is how we translate context. That is how we make sense of things. That is how we understand purpose. That is how we build trust. And that is how we add value. So let me give you an example. For a $1.3 billion global tech firm, the execution layer Redesign led to a 63% improvement in resolution time for issues. It led to network reliability jumped to 98.9% at an all-time high that they had measured internally, and teams began tracking trust seriously as they tracked timelines. So we have been able to do this manually in the past for different organizations who brought us in to teach their people executional intelligence. We're now able to augment that with AI in a way that allows us to be able to see the network in real time and to be able to manage it and measure it and impact it by our decision making, because AI can give us much more predictive capability than we've ever had before. When we think about how to measure strategy implementation, I really encourage you to look at the execution layer to begin to understand it and to begin to see it as an absolutely critical part for delivering on your strategy execution. By going through this process and building your own execution intelligence, you can set yourself up with a really solid strategic advantage. You can produce results that very few of your competitors are going to be able to produce, because you're ahead of the game in terms of understanding executional intelligence and understanding and designing the execution layer and using AI to help you with it. As you build your understanding of executional intelligence, I have a freebie for you, which is a white paper called Execution by Design. That's available on my website. There's a link in the comments below. It's also www.jenniferkenny.com/execution. And it's also in the free resources on my website. Have a look at it. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if it helps you start thinking about how to successfully implement strategy and to successfully implement projects. And as you build up this capacity for yourself and your team, I'm here to help you and support you, and I wish you the very best of luck and success with this process. Take care.